Hey everybody, welcome back to another news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Excuse me if you may hear some noises in the background, just some people are over and, you know, family doing stuff, so excuse me if you hear some noise in the background, but we are back once again with another news roundup, and we've got plenty of subjects for this week. Some very interesting stories that surprisingly are not getting that much attention, maybe on purpose, but we'll get into all that. But I'm just going to cut this short as we always do, and we're just going to jump right on in. So, the first thing we're going to discuss is I guess you could say, announcement of Jumanji 3. Jumanji 3 is officially happening and is officially moving forward. Nearly 5 years since the previous film, which for the life of me, I forgot the name of it. But looks like a third one is officially on the way. They have set a release date for December 11th, 2026. And the cast and the filmmaker behind the two other modern Jumanji movies, Jack Kasdan, who we'll be actually talking about later on in this video. They're expected to return, but no confirmation at this time. The reasoning for the delay, for it being delayed for so long, is because of the balancing of everybody's busy schedules. I mean, we're talking about The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black. Some of these guys have some very busy schedules, so having to find the best time to work on the sequel can be, it can be a long time. And they have found that time, and that time will be December 11th, 2026. So, Jumanji 3 is on the way, and I really don't care. I've never seen the Robin Williams version, but I've seen these two specific films with this cast, and it's pretty unremarkable to memory. Not completely joyless. I mean, I remember having some enjoyment watching them, but they're pretty stale, and I have little interest in seeing another one. But given the success of the other two films, because this series has been very financially successful, there's potential maybe for a craving, potential for another to be accepted within audiences, because it's just been a very rocky past couple of years at the box office. So we'll see, we'll see. I think it's a good move, and it's it was expecting it was going to happen eventually, and well, it appears it will be happening pretty soon. So there you have that. All right, we have an interesting story that came out regarding developments in AI technology and the inevitable integration into the film industry. And apparently, in the foreign regions, there have been some very interesting developments regarding AI and the market for it. So, according to foreign investors at this year's Tokyo International Film Festival, they discussed how the market for they were discussing the market for artificial intelligence and the integration into film production. They discussed primarily how the utilization of such technology could massively reduce the cost of expenses, and that it was demonstrated by Kevin D.C. Chang, who is an AI director and the CEO of MetaVision company in South Korea. There's a film project that is under his umbrella entitled Sinki Terra, which would be set in 5 different international locations, and initially within that carried a budget of at least $4.1 million. But within the integration of AI tools, they were able to bring down the budget to $400,000, eliminating traditional location shooting expenses and, according to Chain, maintaining production quality. Now that I'm not entirely sure about, but you can see the results within utilizing these tools. Now, according to the chairman of Singapore's N Prime Partners Capital, Nicholas Aaron Koo, investors in Singapore are now putting in as little as $5,000 to $15,000 into film productions. And the reason for that is a lot to do with the integration of these AI tools. Bringing the cost down on things makes for the general investments to appear smaller. And within that, there's less of a risk. And there's more of a persuasion and more of a motivation to provide financial support. And the investors also don't have to worry as much of a gamble or as much of a risk in having to, put up so much money. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not for it. I've said it before on this channel. I'm not for the integration of AI technology. I'm not for it. I would argue that the quality is certainly not going to be maintained. Um, because here's the thing, like based on this film project that was brought up, Cinque Terre, they were wanting to basically do a traditional uh, live action film, and it basically became a form of animation, and uh, that seems to be the path that we're following, in the overall landscape of film. It seems that we're just leaning into that of animation, and AI is just going to become the norm in presentation of all these landscapes and all that stuff. And I'd argue, creatively speaking, that could be more time consuming than just shooting on location. And you're losing your authentic edge. You're losing a lot of things artistically speaking when you're incorporating these tools. That all being said, though, you cannot deny the incredible benefits being laid out here. I mean, according to percentages that they gave, they can reduce film costs by at least 90%. 90%. Now, I don't know how legit those numbers are actually. I don't have any reason to not buy those sort of numbers, just because, you know, computer, because it's all computer. This profession currently, as it stands, is not as it's not been highly invested into. Therefore, the cost of things right now is low. Now, everything has an effect, obviously. So eventually, when this does become the norm, these eventually, the cost of this technology will of course rise. But right now, as it stands, it's cheap, and it makes for a far less risk compared to investing millions of dollars, which was what Cinque Terre, that one film that they mentioned, was initially going to be, was something like $4.1 million. Um, but yeah, you can't deny the benefits here. And look, as I've illustrated, the film industry, Hollywood, it's slowly turning into a virtual environment. Studios, as they should be, they should be looking for ways to lower the cost, to reduce potential damages or losses due to lower attendance numbers, theatrically speaking. Because we've talked about it a lot on this channel, where the people are not coming to the theater as often as they used to. So theaters have to find a way to, they have to look for solutions on how to not make the hill so high, how to match up with the audience you have today, and within that to secure better, tighter, justifiable investments. So, and here in North America, we already know these integrations are taking place. Sony has already stated that they're wanting to do this, and they're integrating that into their film and TV fronts. And as illustrated at this festival, there are just massive financial benefits. So you can't argue with the benefits. They're definitely there. It's just it just kind of also kind of hurts because of just knowing, artistically speaking, what that does to film. But business is business, and you can't argue with what is there and the large financial gain, financial benefits, and financial cutbacks that are definitely present. There's so much that you can save, in doing these things. And it's unfortunate, artistically speaking, but for business, it is a huge, huge win. And this is the future. Everybody knows it. As much as everybody in the actor strike wanted to try to make this not go away, it's going to be the norm. And, I'm not ready to accept it. I probably will never accept it. But business-wise, got to go where the money is. And clearly, right now, this may be that place that you got to go. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but the truth is, it's highly beneficial. So, all right, let's get into an interesting story regarding Lego. Um, so this kind of came out of left field, and there's a reason for why that is. And I'll explain that in a second. But according to Deadline, the Lego Group and Universal Pictures are teaming up for 4 live-action Lego films based on the popular toy line. So you heard that correctly, 4 live-action Lego films. So not animated, live-action films. Now, 3 films had an announcement on their own, and then separate from the announcement, there was a 4th one that was announced. So the 3 films that were announced together, they have directors and writers already attached to these, which includes Jake Kasdan, as we've just mentioned previously, or earlier in this video, Patty Jenkins, who directed the Wonder Woman series, and I keep hearing maybe a Star Wars film here and there, but who knows, and Joe Cornish, who is most notable for directing Attack the Block, which was, I guess, John Boyega's first notable role before Star Wars. So, Kasdan's film will be utilizing a script written by Andrew Mogul and Gerard Paul. They're the guys behind The D Train and The Grinder. I'm not familiar with any of those movies, but that's their script. Patty Jenkins's film will be utilizing a script written by herself and Jeff Johns, who is the former head of DC Studios. And Cornish's film is currently being rewritten by himself based off a draft from Heather Ann Campbell, whose work includes Rick and Morty and One Punch Man. And her draft is based off of a treatment by Simon Rich, who's behind Man Seeking Woman and Miracle Workers. And then, as I said earlier, separate from this announcement, they also announced a 4th live-action piece. This one we actually know more details on, which is another crack at Ninjago. And the showrunners and writers of the Ninjago TV series have been brought on to write this adaptation. So you have 4 live-action Lego films on the way. No release dates or idea of which of these films will be released first. None of that was talked about. So, okay. So, it's again, the weirdness of the announcement, just kind of sporadic, just came out of nowhere. And, the front loading of it, just 4 live action movies, bam, right there. Just completely changing direction from animation to live action. So why is that? Well, if you look into it, Universal Pictures acquired the film rights to the Lego brand back in 2020 for a 5-year deal. Now, they had a partnership prior, obviously, with, other movies like the Lego Movie and Lego Batman and other pieces here and there. But they never formally acquired the film rights to the Lego brand until 2020. And at that time, they had a 5-year deal. That deal is about to expire next year. So, understanding that their deal with the Lego brand is about to expire, I totally understand the need right now to produce content if you wish to extend or maintain your relationship with that company. Because let's look at what they've done in this deal, okay? Anything out that they've done prior, Lego Movie 2, Ninjago, whatever, those movies don't count. That doesn't count within this deal. So, what have they done in this deal with Lego between 2020 and 2025? The only thing you can talk about is Piece by Piece, which we discussed on this channel. That recently flopped. And that's the only thing that they've done within this, film-wise. So you can understand now, hopefully, why all these announcements were made at once, because they're they're looking for a way to extend their relationship. They're looking for ways to maintain it, and the only way right now, it seems, is to just announce a bunch of things and, you know, develop things, because there's nothing that's ready for release right now, or deep enough into development to where they can justify this investment. Because they have, there's you have to have a return on investment, obviously, for this sort of deal. I'm pretty sure that there's parameters. There's an expectation for a certain amount of money to be made. Piece by piece is clearly not doing that. So, but the rationale behind this, the more so the creative endeavor, we'll say, it just feels rather pointless and honestly really doubtful, because creatively speaking, you're limiting the value of the brand under a live action medium, whereas animation has always proven to be beneficial towards this aesthetic. I mean, it's quite literally built for animation. You have stop motion videos that people do all the time with Lego pieces, and within that, that's a form of animation in and of itself. It's prime for it. It's always been for that medium. So to take it out of that medium, I feel is very counterproductive. And financially speaking, as I've illustrated, their collaboration under this specific deal has yet to prove to be worthwhile. Piece by Piece recently flopped, and their last success story, mind you, Lego Batman, because the Ninjago thing didn't do too well, that was nearly 7 years ago. That was way back in 2017. So, and again, separate from this 5-year contract. So I believe that this is an overreaction to their contract about to expire. They're looking for a way to stabilize their relationship and to present, quite honestly, the illusion that they want to actively keep developing films for the company. They just don't want someone else to buy out the rights or to take on those rights, because they haven't produced anything except this one film that Pharrell Williams himself pitched to Lego, and Lego said okay on. But Universal, for as far as I can tell, they just basically distributed it, or at least, just, it just fell within their deal. So it's like, sure, because they, like, the way it comes across is, we don't want to lose you guys, but we're not interested in making movies until we have to make movies, So, and I think of the potential visual presentation for this. Again, a live action Lego movie. My mind immediately goes to the Minecraft movie. I mean, you can't sit there and tell me that that's not what it would basically look like. I mean, Minecraft is basically Lego in and of itself. Just get a couple more lines on the characters, make them a little bit more blocky, have more pieces, literally. You got Lego. And mind you, given the blowback for that trailer, the Minecraft one, that the blowback that's already gotten, and that being essentially, again, as I've illustrated, a Lego movie done in live action, I really don't understand this investment, especially given no current success in their collaboration or under a live action medium. So this makes little sense to me. I really don't see the understanding behind this. I mean, maybe start with just one as an experiment and see how it does. Doing 4 at once, or announcing 4 at once, that's not smart. And again, I explained why that's the case, because they're panicking. They don't want to lose the rights. So this is just them trying to maintain it, But I don't know. They seem like they've been in development for a little bit, since they have writers involved and directors, but I don't know. I smell more of a necessity to find a method to keep this relationship intact. That's what it smells more like to me. But maybe the stories will prove to be interesting. Who knows? But I just doubt that the ambitions will pay off, literally, or really take off. So, for me, this is just overkill. Like, this is the equivalent of a kid getting their homework done an hour before it's due. Like, that's what it really feels like to me when I'm reading this, But maybe I got it all wrong, but once you understand all that, it just makes a lot more sense under that context. So in their position, I get why they need to put out more content, But I feel like this just ain't it, if you ask me. So. All right, we have a very interesting story here, which I am surprised, actually, maybe not as surprised, that the media is not talking about it. So, there's a new Kanye West documentary coming out, and it's called In Whose Name, which, that name, that title is going to be funny once I explain this out in the movie a little bit. According to the marketing being put up by the producers, aka Kanye himself, the upcoming documentary entitled In Whose Name, which details Yee's, because that's the name he goes by now, Yee's, transformation to becoming, quote, world's most controversial artist, carries, I'm not joking, a historic $1 billion budget. $1 billion. Now, a part of me doesn't even want to soak that in. There's a part of me that just doesn't want to absorb that. And there's been other people who've been saying that maybe that's not entirely true. Maybe that's just a overreaction, this and that. But when you go on Variety and you read it, it says right there. It literally says right there. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I'll say it literally exactly what it said. We're gonna pull it up right now, just because it is gobsmacking, to say the least. So here's what Variety said. So this is the synopsis that was put out. So this is the synopsis. With a $1 billion budget and a commitment to truth, Yee, formerly known as Kanye West, invites 18-year-old Nicholas Ballesteros, armed with an iPhone, on a 6-year journey revealing unfiltered aspects of celebrity life, which confront the provocative opinions, grand visions, and bold contrarianism that defined him as the world's most controversial artist. Blah, 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 blah. So they lead with that, with a $1 billion budget. So unless there's some new slang going on that I'm not familiar with, that's what they're saying. So, and just to get a little more into it, the film has been shooting for the past 6 years, as it's illustrated in that synopsis. And on November 7th, they're going to be launching international sales at the American film market, with apparently an exclusive promo reel screening. I don't know what the hell that means, to go along with it. Now, in the actual film, the presentation of it is going to be a selection of images without narration, so no narration whatsoever, to provide, I guess, an abstract experience for the dissection of its subject. So let's just get this straight. So we have a $1 billion investment, which that alone, mind you, is just egregious. Just like, I mean, it is unheard of. I mean, absolutely unheard of. Which is probably why they're marketing it that way, even though it is a terrible, terrible way to market this. You should be hiding that to the day it comes out. But yeah, that's one thing. But for that amount of investment, you are telling me the film has zero narration, no script, no lines, nothing, just a bunch of images? You mean to tell me that $1 billion was put into making pretty frames? Is that what I'm getting at? Pretty aesthetics? I mean, I think it goes without saying, this is the most egregious, most selfish, most mind-boggling vanity project that I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. Now, I have no doubt that this investment is being pushed by Kanye himself only, because there's no way in hell any producer would be this incompetent. No way in hell are they this incompetent. Now, a part of me, like I said, has not fully registered the enormity of this investment. We're $1 billion. That has not registered in my head yet because it's just too much. And apparently the media doesn't even want to talk about it. They are just, some articles I've read just completely leave that out. Variety is just leaving that in. Everybody else, though, yeah, Kanye's got a new documentary coming out, but all of them just want to leave out the fact of how much the budget is. So they're hiding it, and they don't want people to know about it, and it's just, like, just speaking directly to Kanye, how do you, like, he's watching this video, how do you think you'll obtain distribution with this investment? Both as it is and within your marketing. The fact of you putting it out there on Front Street saying that, oh man, we spent $1 billion on this. How do you think that's going to go down when it comes to distribution? I mean, this dude is a moron. And similar to my rationale with Megapolis, anyone who decides to pick this up in any respect to represent their business, you are an even bigger moron. And moreover, and I'm being frank when I say that, being like honest when I say this, any studio that picks this up needs to be blacklisted immediately because they clearly don't have any intelligence on what's good business. Because here's the pitch being laid out here. $1 billion production on, as the producers, Kanye, to be frank, themselves market, about one of the world's most controversial artists today. In short, a alienating vanity project that cost $1 billion to produce. Explain to me the return on investment. Explain to me the value in distribution. Explain to me all that. Explain to me the value in releasing this at all. I'm gonna wait, but we're gonna be waiting all day. So, yeah, distribution. Any distributors out there, please boycott this. Do not pick this up. Do not put this on any screen, because this is just sickening to see that much money being poured into something like this. And again, no narration, no like big cast involved, just a bunch of images. Like, pretentious would also be another word for it, but my God, just $1 billion. Wow. I am flabbergasted. So, yeah, dude. I totally understand why nobody wants to talk about it, just because I think even Hollywood themselves are dumbfounded by it. So that's probably why they're hiding it, and they're not wanting to let it be known that, oh yeah, just that, the budget. I just think they're wanting to hide this, honestly, and they rightfully should, because, oh my God. And look, if Kanye wants this in theaters, let him pay for it. Okay, he's already been put about $1 billion into this. Let him pay for it. No, don't let us contribute to that. This is your hill to die on, sir. No one else's. You've been stupidly putting money on this for the past 6 years, so you do your hill to die on, not ours. And how fitting for it to be called In Whose Name? Because I'll tell you whose name it's going to be in. It's going to be in your name, not anybody else's. Because nobody, I repeat, nobody is going to want to invest into this or wish to distribute this. And if they are, they're an idiot. They are an idiot, and they should not be represented or have any connections to the Hollywood system in any respect. They should immediately be blacklisted if that's the case. So, wow. I think that's just the best way to put it. Just wow. Just wow. I hope it's exaggerative. I really do. Because I can't process that. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So I am hoping that I am misreading this. I am hoping that Variety has somehow was misinformed. Doubt it, because have they've yet to clarify on it ever since they posted the article, and all the other outlets appear to have just kind of gone. You know what I mean? Uh, they just kind of just let this hang. You know, they didn't really say much about it. Yeah, just wow. My God. Yeah. Looking at comments right now too, it just seems like everybody is not really caring about this either. So, the biggest bomb in history? I don't know. Man. Man. Yeah. Silence is honestly the best response that you can give to something like this. But we got to keep moving on, so let's move on. So. All right. In less chaotic news, because man, that is the biggest story of the week by far. Um, let's get into some other topics for today. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers has been quietly developing a feature film based on the acclaimed television series Game of Thrones. So, Game of Thrones film is apparently in development, very early development according to multiple sources. So, no cast, no filmmaker attached at this time. But the studio apparently is, quote, keen on releasing this project in theaters. Now, if you were to ask me personally, this is prime for streaming. This is prime for streaming. By the way, if you just heard my chair, that was my chair. I did not fart. Just so you know, except my chair is a little squeaky, but leather chair. So, but anyways, but yeah, I think that this development or this idea, this feels prime for streaming because the idea of television series crossing over onto the big screen, it's not as profitable as some may think. See, television and film audiences, financially speaking, rarely coincide. I mean, can you name a television series that has leaped into film as of recent memory that was also largely profitable in theaters and not just dumped on streaming? Because most times they do that. I mean, there was the Deadwood film that went on streaming. There was, of course, the Breaking Bad film not too long ago that went to Netflix. Um, it's just it's just by design. I mean, if it's a movie based on a television series or continuing that of the television series, release it either through television or through streaming. It just seems more complementary, and it I think fits more to that demo, and honestly more profitable in that capacity. So, because it's almost always questioned why such a thing isn't on streaming to begin with because of its origins, as I've illustrated. It was a TV show, so why not capitalize further in that specific area? So, I acknowledge that the show is wildly popular, and it still is with the new series that are out there right now. But if you were to ask me, this sounds more like a fan event. If I were to see this in like a poster on the theater, I would think of it more as like a fan event and not a cinematic experience. Hence, I asked the question then, again, why not this be put on streaming? Especially if you want to boost your own platform. I mean, then you can think about it. You get more benefits personally as a company when you bill something exclusively on your streaming service, especially for a popular series like this. I mean, it would very much benefit your platform. So, especially since right now streaming is kind of in a dwindling state, I think something like this would be a large benefit. So, because I mean, most people who subscribe to HBO Max also are probably Game of Thrones fans, if I were to take a guess. So why not put this on streaming? So, so, so I feel like this is something that should have. I mean, again, it's a very, very early stage, so maybe they'll change their minds or later on, or maybe this thing may not even come out. Um, but I think that they should absolutely put it on streaming. I think there's just more benefits if you were to ask me. I'm not interested. I've never seen Game of Thrones, so I have zero knowledge of the series. I have zero care to watch the series. I don't care for long term television. It's just never appealed to me. Um, so yeah. So I mean, I know there's a big audience out there for it, but it's a big audience on television, and that's not the same for film. So I feel like this is a thing for streaming, but that's just me. So speaking of things that should or should not go to theaters, this being absolutely one that should go to theaters. We have officially from Toho the announcement of the next Godzilla film. So Toho themselves have officially announced that the next Godzilla film is greenlit and it is on the way. Takashi Yamayaksi, sorry if I butchered the hell out of that name. I apologize. Um, he helmed, of course, the latest from the studio, Godzilla Minus One, which I personally really enjoyed. He will be returning to all of his previous duties for the upcoming feature, including directing, writing, and of course heading up the visual effects once again. No confirmation if the upcoming film is in fact a follow-up from Minus One, or if it's a new standalone story, and no release date as of yet. So this is the gradual next step to move the brand forward for Toho. I mean, if you want to push the series in a financially beneficial area, you should maintain your relationship with this filmmaker and of course invest into it further, because I mean, Minus One, like I said, I personally thought it was pretty well made. Financially speaking, also, it was highly beneficial. It was the most successful film in their respected series at Toho, in that it's the most successful Japanese Godzilla film. So based on that alone, it makes total sense to continue in their collaboration, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where it goes. It'd be interesting to see it follow up from Minus One, but I'd also welcome a separate story as well. I don't feel that we have to drag things out. If you want to do something different, I welcome that as well. I honestly find that more enticing than a sequel to Minus One, personally speaking. But either way, it's great to see this relationship continue to hopefully generate another solid film. But we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to it, especially if the quality matches up from Minus One, because Minus One was pretty good. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. More than likely, let's be honest, it probably is a sequel to Minus One. But I would be more interested if it was a separate story. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right, next story we're going to discuss is revolving around the Mission Impossible series. There's some interesting stuff going on behind the scenes in terms of marketing for the upcoming Mission Impossible film, this Mission Impossible 8. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Paramount Pictures is considering to bill the upcoming installment in the Mission Impossible series as the final one. Now, they're not doing it in that it is the actual final installment of the series. The rationale behind this is to market it that way in an effort to attract audience attention. So, sources indicate that Tom Cruise himself is pushing against that decision, as he's publicly made it known his desire to continue beyond this upcoming installment after alluding to retirement from the role previously. He's now been saying, no, I want to do more movies, more beyond this new one coming out. And within this article also, they have noted that the production budget for Mission Impossible 8 has grown to approximately $400 million. $400 million. It's not $1 billion. Kanye's got that, but it's $400 million. Just to be clear, Gladiator 2 is close to 300 million. So yeah, it's even worse than Gladiator 2. So, yeah. So, this mindset right now. Now, it's not been finalized. They're just kind of flirting with the idea. They're not saying that that's how they're going to market it. They're going to be rolling out marketing for Mission Impossible 8 pretty soon, probably in release with Gladiator 2. We'll probably see a trailer come out. Um, so we'll see then what they decide to do. Um, but the mindset of essentially deceptive marketing, I mean, that's basically what it is, because they're not saying that this is the final one. They're just saying we want to market it that way. Even though we probably want to do more films afterwards. Like, that is deceptive marketing. And that's both unfair and really unattractive towards audiences, because the problem with Dead Reckoning was that it was released during the midst of the summer season. It was having to compete against other major titles at that time. Like, there was, I think it was July, so it was, yeah, that was right when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out. And, Barbie and Oppenheimer took off in their own way, and Mission Impossible was just kind of left to dwindle and just to fade. And let's also remember that they took a film insurance payout to cover their losses. Just saying. Because the movie Dead Reckoning didn't make its money back. It didn't. But they had to take a film insurance payout, or I think some kind of lawsuit that they won, where it was able to help cover for damages. Just remember that, mind you. And I'm curious if that's going to happen again here, because, yeah, that budget is pretty insane. But for this to do even marginally well, with a budget that it occupies right now being, well, nearly impossible to play on words, yeah, being nearly impossible to climb over, like, this needs to occupy a release window all to itself, with like a clear few weeks, no other competition to speak of. And I mean, we're just not in a landscape like that right now. And that's just positioning it to do the best it can, because as it stands and based on this strategy, they know that this will likely flop like its predecessor. Because $400 million, you're basically billing the film, or basically positioning the film to do at least $1 billion. That's how much it has to do. And I do not see that happening, and I don't think any manipulative tactics, as such as marketing the film a certain way, even though that's not what's really happening to the series in general, I don't think that's going to help either. And it's just gross, because it's just, it doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't hold water, especially 2 or 3 years later after this will probably come out. They're going to do another one. They are going to. It's just a very successful franchise. It's just recently it's not been doing well. So they're not going to give up on it, especially Paramount. They only have so much stuff there. They have their golden child, that being Transformers, and probably this being second. So, and they also want to maintain their relationship with Tom Cruise, obviously. I just heard they're doing a Days of Thunder sequel, which, who the fuck was asking for that? Okay. But, they want to keep in good business with Tom Cruise. Obviously, look at Top Gun Maverick doing as well as it did. So, but this ain't it. This is not the way to get audiences in. Either you commit to what's there or don't even try. But in short, I think that they know that they're fucked. That's the way I just see it. I think they know that they're fucked, and they're just trying to salvage what they can, and they're resulting to do things that are very manipulative and very deceptive, and just not the right approach. Just not the right approach, if you ask me. So, alrighty, we have one trailer to discuss for today, and then we will be done for today. So let's just get right into it. So we have one trailer, this coming from A24, I believe. That trailer being for Queer. This is Luca Guadagnino's latest film. Of course, we've talked about Luca Guadagnino a couple of times on this channel. His two most recent work include Bones and All, which I wasn't too crazy about, and Challengers that came out this year, which I also was not too crazy about. This stars Daniel Craig and Drew Starkley, and it's, as the title suggests, a romance, or at least I guess a study of lustful desire, sexual tension, or that itch, that you get when you are physically attracted to someone. And this comes out on November 27th, so later this month. And outside of the admiration for its manner of experimentation, which frankly echoes that of old school expressionism, and then I like some of how they utilize certain aesthetic within showing you, Daniel Craig's inner thoughts and what he would like to do. That sort of visual illustration echoes that of expressionism. And by just grading, it reminds me of that. It reminds me of 90s indie type filmmaking mentalities. I appreciate that. I appreciate those technical fronts, but I feel like it's flaunting of its style, and it's primarily flirtatious, but in substance it's pretty hollow. So I don't get much of it outside of an apparent interest or an apparent thematic interest in a lustful desire for an individual, because that's what it just seems like it boils down to, is just Daniel Craig just drooling over this guy, and it's just doesn't seem like there's much of a layered, much more layered, more of an underbelly to it. So I think it's more technically interesting than narratively speaking, which to some respect is how I can summarize my feeling on Luca Guadagnino as a filmmaker. So, yeah. So I'm still interested in some of his work. I'm curious to see his take on Suspiria, because I thought Suspiria weirdly enough has a lot of his his spirit, a lot of his filmmaking mentalities. So I'm curious to see how he remade it. But yeah, as it stands, I'm not that interested. It's not really. I appreciate, again, a lot of the technical features, but it doesn't really do much for the story, except just making its one dimension more frank and more obvious to me, and not deepening it in any respect, really. So yeah. So those are my thoughts for this week, guys. We've been going on for quite a while. Sorry, it's almost like a hour long thing. So it's just had a lot to say this week on a lot of topics. But you guys know your thoughts on all these topics in the comment section below. Your thoughts on a bunch of Lego movies getting announced. A talk about AI, how it's going to reduce film costs tremendously. That Kanye West documentary costing $1 billion fucking dollars. Holy shit. Game of Thrones, Godzilla, Mission Impossible 8. Let me know all your thoughts. Queer. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below with all these topics. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.